Okay, so this is kind of an impromptu conversation, with my fellow beings. My partner and I, sitting out at the ocean today, taking in the beauty of the area we were in, and it seems that the conversation of the virus and how it's affecting our lives and those we know's lives, it seems it's almost inescapable these days. And tried as hard as we could early on in the formative months of this, trying to, I guess, just not give it any of our mental energy, trying to live what we considered a normal life, one that we'd worked, I've worked most of my life for, to be able to enjoy I'm 66 now and in my retirement years. And yet somehow the idea of this virus and its effect on, I guess our normal living, whatever we think normal is, it seems to be changing from what it was and what I had hoped that it would be. So at any rate, my name is Michael, and I've been, a small business owner my whole life, my whole adult life. Recently retired here several years back. So one of the things, I think I have some issues that I would like to present, some thoughts on the issues that I carry inside of me as a small business owner, and particularly I know when we first heard about this virus, and it's kind of being thrown at the world, in a way that so many people were engaged with it. And my first reaction was, well, that's crazy. People aren't going to, be forced into any situations they don't want to be. I said, if they are, the first thing that's going to happen is it won't be the virus that's going to be all the killing and all this stuff. It's my intuition, my soul, my innate intelligence told me that, this is going to be economically a devastating kind of a situation, and I'm thinking from a small businessman point of view. And so I said that a year ago, and it seems that that's coming to pass. We can talk, semantics about whether or not the virus is actually killing a lot more people than what would have died this time last year or the time before that last year. There are credible sources, scientific sources, medical sources that are coming out now with, I don't feel confident to speak on that area, but I can certainly give you names or other YouTube channels that will show you that, numerically speaking, there doesn't appear to be a spike in the number of deaths from this time till this time last year to the year before. People have always died. We need to make that clear. We come in alive and we'll go out dead. There's, to be blunt, there's no way around that. And if you happen to be in the high-risk group, if you're elderly and if your immune system is compromised and you get any kind of a sickness, it's probably not a good thing. A fall hurts your hip. These are things that as we age and stage, those become realities for us. And I don't personally think I'm getting off topic, but I don't think it's a great idea to lock down our elderly either, because I know I'll get to that. What I really want to say is this idea that our businesses are being told they can't operate. They're being told by bureaucrats that are on a government payroll, a guaranteed income, that these businesses that, oftentimes small business people invest their life into it, their savings into it. It's how they are feeding their families. Their hopes, wishes, and dreams are built on these small businesses, and they're largely the backbone of our economy. So many people are employed in them, right? And now when a bureaucrat or number of bureaucrats, for whatever reason, has decided that those individuals are unable, by rule of law or whatever decree, whatever you want to say, that they now cannot operate their business under threat of heavy fine, jail, I'm sure, whatever the consequences are, they're severe. And we've seen cases of it on YouTube where, individuals have tried to buck the system and it hasn't turned out too good for them. But here's my thought. These bureaucrats that are on the government payroll, if your concern really is, you are about the welfare of the individuals and you feel for the individuals and you want the economy to, get back on track at some point, and you're caring about the people that you're locking down, here's my challenge to you. You back that up with your money. This money you get from the government, your paycheck is never changed. It's never challenged. Every 2 weeks or every month, whatever your agreement is with the government employer, wherever it is that you're being employed by, your pay is not being cut. Now, in order for you to feel what it is, the rules you're giving on an individual to say you can't earn a living, maybe you should join them. When you say those words, you should say, and I'm willing to show you how I know your pain and suffering because I'm going to take no more money too. Until we solve this issue and we can get all of us back on track, bringing in income so we can feed our families, pay our bills, be in good standing in your community, because it's important, right, that we have a purpose to be able to pay bills that matter, for sure. So that's the first point. That's a challenge out there, because I think it's completely unfair for an individual to preside and judge over another when it doesn't cost them a thing, other than to stand there and say, I'm full of authority, invested in me by whoever, certainly not by the guy who's you're telling him he can't earn his business, or the girl, right, the gal. So join the club. Come around to the small business point of view. Give up your pay until we've got this back on track and we can all earn a living. That's something that I think is, I've got a challenge out there, okay? The next thing that I notice, right, is, I'm a grandparent. Lots of, individuals my age are. We have children, sons and daughters, many of us. And I think that it's fair to say that I know in my case, and in others that I know personally, they're suffering because of this lockdown, because of these forced, I don't call them masks, I call them muzzles, okay? The muzzles were being forced on. And small kids. And they're being told to stay 6 feet away from each other. In my own daughter's case there, her young son can't go across the street and play with his friend, who he's known for several years now. And they're being kept apart. And they're being sequestered in their homes. And their minor sports are being canceled. And their outlets, their creative activities, their guitar lessons, their whatever it is that they used to do and outside of their school, which that's being affected. There are so many things that maybe others are more articulate at expressing, but my gut is telling me that this is not a good thing to lock down our kids, the creative side of our children, the creative side of my children, who are now young adults and middle-aged adults, right? And their children. And so I got a little bit of a thing going here with other people my age. Instead of this reacting in fear and putting on this, mask on your face and being that example, right, for your kids and their kids, your grandchildren, I kind of challenge you to toughen up a tiny bit here. Make an example of the kind of world you would like to leave for your family and your future families. And I challenge you to think if it's the one that we're looking at right now. Is that how you want your grandkids to grow up? Hidden behind a mask, and you're hiding behind a mask, and you're afraid to come together, afraid to touch each other, afraid to be anywhere close to each other. What is all this afraid stuff about? Instead of just accepting CNN and the rhetoric that's going on and the mass numbers that they're throwing at you and telling you that all this devastation is happening and all these authority figures getting out there telling you this, and locking down provinces and so on. I'm just going to challenge you to take this on yourself and try and be the kind of elderly example that we, as we age and stage in our life, need to be for the ones that are following us. And I don't want to go out with this on my face and this fear and this deathly afraid of. Well, I've got to tell you a couple of stories about this fear thing, all right? I was in the hardware several weeks back before it was mandated in our province to wear a mask on any indoor occasion at any indoor store. So I wasn't wearing one because I just won't. I just don't want to give that kind of example. I really believe that people need to see that I'm healthy, I'm well, I'm smiling, I'm vibrant. That's a kind of an example I want to give. I don't want to hide behind a mask in fear, so I don't. And I'm walking around down an aisle in a hardware store, and this gentleman came in. I call him the guy. And he came in unexpectedly. I was alone in the aisle, and he came in around the end of the aisle, and he just saw me from about 20 feet away and recognized, I guess, that I didn't have a mask on, and he did. He was masked up, muzzled up. And it was like he had seen a rattlesnake. He jumped back, he stopped, exploded in a backwards motion to try and stay away from me. And I thought he was kidding. I started to laugh. I thought, well, he's just overreacting on purpose to go, hey, whoa, I just thought he was kidding. Well, he wasn't kidding. And he kind of stumbled around backwards, went around the corner, thought that I was laughing at him, came back around the corner with an angle. All I could see was his eyes, but his eyes were all fired up. And was thinking, I guess, of confronting me on it, then maybe thought better of it and walked away. And I said, hey, it's okay. And he looked back at me as he was disappearing and he said, no, sir, it's not okay. And I thought, I've lived my whole life being conscious of my wellness. What I put in my body, what I eat, what I drink. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs. I just don't do. I'm careful and conscious. I'm a healthy, well human being, and I thank my Creator for that. I'm not a guy you need to be afraid of. And somebody on CNN tells you maybe you need to be. I don't know. I don't think it's okay that I'm challenging you to maybe make some better sense of that. And the second thing that happened is I was going down to the park. I live on an island, and I was going down to the Oceanside Park. And there was only one other vehicle in the entire park, oceanfront. It's a campground park combination. And I came around the corner unexpectedly on the only other vehicle that was in the park as I was entering in. And it was a woman, and I'll call her the woman, in a van, appeared to be youngest, again muzzled up, and had gotten out of her van with her mask on, her muzzle on, and was walking over to the washroom, the outhouse. It was just an outhouse in a campground, assuming she was alone in a national or an island trust park on the ocean front with the ocean breeze, the beautiful, healthy air, vibrant air inside a gorgeous rainforest, temperate rainforest. And I thought to myself, there's two cases there that we really have to start to think about things a little different. That's not a good way. I don't see it. It's your freedom. If you think that's the way to be, then you got to make that choice and live it. But it brings me to my next point. I don't think you can make a choice for me that I have to live that way too. And case in point is these vaccinations. That now you're choosing to have purple hair, whatever it is, if you're that person who thinks that you're afraid and you need to be masked up. I'm also needing you to recognize that I don't want to lose my freedoms in all of this. And that seems to be what's really happening here, is that we're losing our freedom. They're taking away bits and pieces and more, as evidenced by the recent Christmas lockdown where families weren't allowed to be together, couldn't travel. I know my mother's in the province she lives in now is being told that people can't even come to visit her. Now, get this woman has recently lost her husband, her lifetime partner. She's in her 80s. She's being told she has to stay in her house. Well, she doesn't have to stay in it, but no one can come and visit her. And everywhere they go, everyone's afraid, so people don't come anymore. She has no friends that can come and visit her. No family came to visit. Christmas time was like under threat of $1,000 fine. So that freedom's been taken away, and more and slowly, they're inching away. First the mask had to be put on, then now under threat of big fines. Now in a province there's curfews. There's more and more of our freedoms that we're losing. And those of you that defend that think that that's the right thing to do, I need you to know that I'm asking you not to think that's the right thing for me, because I'm telling you it's not. And as much as you don't think I have any right to say to you, take your muzzle off, you don't have any right to tell me to put one on. And I'm asking you to think about that. If you want to wear one, that's on you. This virus, this vaccination, we're hearing rumors and so on about a forced vaccination. Well, that's another thing, that if you line up to have that vaccination, that's on you. I personally don't want to have that, whatever those foreign bodies are inside of my body. I am well, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I don't get sick. My motto is, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I don't need to be fixed. And here's another thought for you. This idea that if you're masked up and I'm not, I'm somehow going to be a threat to you. Or the same thing with the vaccine. And I need you to think about this. Now, you're masked up because you think it protects you. That's on you. You breathe your own exhaust all day long, whatever. That's on you. If you think that's healthy, that's great. I don't. But let's say you do. Think about this now. You're having the mask on because you're masked up and you're protected. You're looking at me and you think maybe I'm not. Which one of us then do you think should be at risk of getting the virus? Probably most likely me, because you're protected. So how am I going to give it to you? Now let's take it one step farther and we'll go with this vaccine. Now you're taking this vaccine and they're going to, probably make you take it 3 or 4 times a year. But that's to protect you. That's why you're going to put yourself into that, so you can be protected, right? And you can travel, or I don't know, whatever the restrictions else. We'll see what comes out of this. This is still only into the beginning part of January in 2021. But let's say you do take that vaccine and I don't. Now you're protected, because otherwise, why would you take that vaccine? You're protected from the virus. That's the whole idea of taking the vaccine. Now you think I haven't taken it. How am I a threat to you? Which one of us is more likely to be a threat than the other on your way of thinking? You think you're protected and I'm not. So most likely I'm the guy that can get it, but you shouldn't, because you're protected. You've injected this foreign substance into your body willingly, with that as a thought. So the idea that I don't have one should not be a threat to you at all. You're the safe one, right? If I get it, I'll deal with it. And I'd sign something right now that if I ever got it, I'd never go to hospital. You don't have to look after me. You don't have to put your medical system out, because I'll never go there. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And that's the way I see the world, right? And hopefully there's more and more out there like me that need to hear somebody else say, hey, we need to live and look here for wellness. Look here for building our immune system. This idea you can live in a bubble. You can protect yourself from touching anything. You sterilize your hands all the time. All these things you want to do, you don't. Where's the immune system in that? You're not letting yourself develop any antibodies to anything, because you're not touching anything. You're sterilizing everything. That's a scary way to be. I need you to do some research on that. What it is, how you build your immune system. And I can tell you some things, but I'm not a doctor, so you don't have to believe me. But I tell you what, you can search it out. And you have to get exposed to things in order to build immunity. You have to live in a strong, healthy body. You've got to work on that. You've got to eat nutritious food. You've got to look after yourself to build your immune system. All right? It's on you to do that. This is your gift. We have a website. We have a YouTube channel built on this. We're building it. It's on this, right? Making sure we can stay well into our as we age and stage throughout our life, fully functional until it's our turn to pass over. So another thing here that I got talking about is the idea that the authorities are doing this for us out of their kindness and their caring and their genuine sincerity about keeping us safe, while they're stripping away our freedoms, while they're locking us down, while they're keeping us from our sports. I haven't been able to watch a junior hockey game in over a year now. I haven't been able to go to a festival, a music festival, in over a year now. But this is for my benefit. You have to understand, the authorities are keeping me safe, trying to keep us all our the creative side of humanity locked down. Who are our artists? Who are our musicians? Where are they playing now? Where are they developing? Who are they? Like, all the goodness, the good side, the young athletes. What about these people? You know, what happens to their futures, to their hopes and their wishes and their dreams? All this is in the interest of looking after our elderly. And I got to tell you, I respect my parents. I always have. I respect the elderly. I do. But when I get to be an elderly person, I don't want to lock the world down because of me. My family, my grandchildren, and their grandchildren need to have a life too. It can't be in a lockdown and taking away all our freedoms for my benefit, for our benefit. They're so kind and caring to us. Meanwhile, we're being stripped of everything that's important to us. That's not a right way to go about doing things. I don't understand how you think like that. You know, when the virus came out, they locked down all the outdoor parks here. People couldn't go down to the ocean and sit, and you can find lots of space to stay apart. Who's thinking that's a good idea? I don't know. Another thing that I'd like to say is I grew up playing sports. Now we've got an idea out there, there's some kind of a rule or a decree that we are unable to play a pickup game with our buddies of any sort. I imagine golf will be included in that in the springtime, and that's obviously a pickup game with buddies, right? Before and after you have maybe a beer with your friends, whatever, like you do in oftentimes in a pickup game. So here we are being told now that can't be. That's for our benefit, mind you. We shouldn't go out and play sports in the outdoors and build our bodies and our cardio systems and our let our minds be free for a little while into something we truly enjoy. We shouldn't do that. And now that's under threat of the police coming and finding us. I grew up in the prairies playing I don't know how many countless hours of my life in outdoor rinks and outdoor football fields. Take that all away from us now for my benefit, for yours and my benefit. That's kind, that's caring, right? I no longer can play with my buddies anymore. And the police enforce it. Now you probably saw the video that was making its way around where the young guy was in his house. He went home for Christmas and he was being dragged out of his house by the police over Christmas holidays. I don't know, that's a tough go for me. Like if you're a policeman, maybe you ought to think about that a little bit. I'm pretty sure you got families. You must have parents. You might have kids. You probably got brothers and sisters. You've aunts and uncles. You have your own community. These people are not criminals. They're not criminals. There are other things where you can spend your energy there are criminals out there, right? That would be a better place to put taxpayers' money. I'm asking you to think, out of a common sense. You see a bunch of guys outside playing pickup shinny, you're going to go over and give them a fine, and they're big fines from what I understand, huge fines. Or maybe there's somewhere else better you can spend your time. I don't really know that they're a threat to anybody there. They're young and healthy, and if you check the facts and figures, even if you get it, that age group is 99% done with it. They just move on. It's like being sick, whatever happens. We've all been sick in the past, I'm sure, at some point or another. So I'm asking for some common sense here. Start to find a way to be part of our solution, not part of the problem, where you lock us down and you force it on us, all in our name. You fine us big money if we're not willing to comply, all in the goodness of us. This is for the benefit of all of us. And I don't know about you, maybe I'm being crass, but I don't see body bags all around my street block. I don't see it. And I bet you don't either. There's a video making its round of a young man taking his mother in a wheelchair in a Calgary hospital, and they go to the emergency room, and he's being told that he can't stay with his mother. She's in a wheelchair. He's the primary caregiver. And there's nobody in the emergency room except him and her and a doctor, I guess, somebody behind a mask saying that he can't stay. And eventually 3 more RCMP or city cops, I'm not sure, authority figures showed up to enforce the idea that this guy could not stay in a apparently not crowded emergency room at a hospital. So it appeared to be like all these people that are supposed to be crowding into the hospitals because they're all having such a hard time with this aren't there. And this young man couldn't stay with his mother because of these restrictions. But that's all in the best interest of us. The mother must have been totally happy that the son couldn't stay and be her comforter. That's in our best interest, right? That's saving us. I need you guys to look at that. That's not right. Could be your mother one day. My mother's being locked down now. You know what? It's not the right thing to do. I think I'm getting long-winded and I'm probably coming to the end of it. Yeah, I think that I probably have said that, and I would really, kind of just finish with asking again, to do your due diligence, find your sources of information from somewhere other than big media like CNN or MSN, these companies that have their own agendas, right? And just, even if you don't think I make any sense, do your own research. Put that virus in your body or that vaccination in your body, and once it's in there, it's in there. Make sure you know you're good, you're comfortable. This is about you and your safety. I am saying this because it matters, right? Make sure you check that out before you line up for it. You think you're getting your life back to normal and you put something bad inside you, and all of a sudden your life's not for normal. People are starting now to show symptoms. I guess some have died, some have gone into convulsions, some bad things are happening. And I just say check it out. That would be how I would like to leave this. But I'm asking for some common sense here from authority figures, from individuals involved. Seems to me common sense is just lost. It's gone somewhere. It just doesn't seem like there's an abundance of common sense. There's an individual that I kind of respect, and his name is Sadhguru. Some of you may have heard him, but he was asked in an interview what the biggest problem is in the world right now. And it was, an interview about a year ago. And he looked at the interviewer and he said, it's the lack of common sense. He said, that's the biggest problem we have going right now. There is nobody showing common sense. They asked him what the best thing that could happen for the world right now. I guess his answer was predictable, but he said, start to use our common sense. So I'm going to leave you with that, okay? Start thinking about that. Start thinking about what makes sense, what's right, what's wrong. Start doing the right thing when nobody's looking. So it's easier, it's easy to do it when people are looking. Start doing it when nobody's looking. Don't have any hidden agendas. Don't have any hidden fears. Start figuring out some things. You're a strong individual. If you're not, start making yourself strong. I'm just going to leave that with you, right? Common sense is important. We don't seem to have a lot of it right now. Okay. There you go.
All right. Very good.